I think we are live. Hello, hi guys. Thank
Hi,
you.
good
Hello.
morning.
Hi, thank you so much for joining the training. Let me see who I have on the line. Okay, Adikunle, Chirag, and Tebuho. Thank you so much,
Yep.
guys. If you can see my screen, if you can hear me, let me know. I can see we have about 4 participants right now. I'm gonna wait a couple of seconds till we get everyone on. And I'm really excited to have you guys participating. This webinar is going to be jam-packed and full of value. I was actually just adding in a couple of extra slides, which I'm super excited to share with you. I understand we have some of you guys we have Teboho from South Africa. I have Adikunle, I think from Nigeria. Deepika
Yes, you are correct.
yes.
Yes.
Deepika and Chirag from India. We're going to wait a few more seconds and just wanted to give you an agenda for what I'm going to talk to you about today. So I'm going to be sharing my system that empowered me to work abroad in 4 countries without having to submit a single online job application. And this is the same system that I have used to even break out of traditional audit and accounting. Now, if you want to get the most out of this masterclass, I suggest you put your phones on silent, close any Facebook or web browsers, get a pen and paper so you can take notes. Cool. So if you have any technical issues, just drop me a comment or you can drop me a text on WhatsApp and I can see if I can sort anything out. But everything looks good for now, so let's get going. Okay, first off, I promise you, just a bit of a disclaimer here. I promise you, you are not going to land a job or even an interview within the next week because my process takes a little bit more time and requires patience and nurturing. And when done properly, it can yield enormous benefits. Second, if you're not willing to put in the effort, then this is not the class for you. You can go back to filling out online job application forms like everyone else. Now, this class is for those who are willing to put the time and effort and who want to stand apart and stand out from the crowd. And that's the beauty about these techniques, is that not everyone is willing to do this. So the opportunities are endless for those who are. And lastly, remember, knowledge is power when applied. So you have to take action to get the benefits. I just want to say welcome, and I want to say that if you've struggled with finding jobs in the past, it's not your fault. Looking for jobs is not something that we were taught in school or university. Yes, you were told how to write a resume or how to answer certain interview questions, but how to actually get the interview, you were not taught that. You were just told to talk to recruitment agents or look at LinkedIn jobs of some online platform. So it's not your fault that you are struggling. If you've been concerned in the past that you just can't succeed, I want you to put those fears to rest, because on this webinar, I'm going to give you all the tools and strategies that you need to succeed. Recruitment agents, online job portals, you don't need them. You can forget about them. And I know you have a dream to live a rich, fulfilling life, and I want to show you how you can achieve it during this webinar. Now, I put this together for you because for those of you who've read my recent article, I'm tired of people's time being wasted and having taken advantage of by recruitment agents and these online portals and HR and hiring managers. And if you've thought that recruitment agents are on your side, you are wrong. Let me tell you the ugly truth about recruitment agents. They are paid a commission by the companies looking for talent, not you. So they're not going to help you. They will protect the company and nurture that relationship. So my goal from this web class. Now, I know it says I've given the title, The Proven 3-Step Method to Find a Job Abroad, but I just want to highlight that these strategies can help you. Yes, if you want to move abroad, these can help you to move abroad. If you want to change your role or your industry, these strategies can help you. If you want to get out of traditional accounting and audit, these strategies can definitely help you. So if you have a job but you're not happy, if you want to work in a different country, if you want to change role or industry, if you want to increase your salary, then I'm going to show you how to achieve the above, and I'm going to focus on tactics that produce results. Now, just to summarize my entire training in 2 sentences, the only way for you to seamlessly find a job abroad or break out of audit is through networking. And the most effective way to network today is through what I like to call LinkedIn mastery. So this can summarize my entire agenda in 2 sentences. So who am I to be giving this training? What credibility or credentials do I have? So I have worked in 4 countries, South Africa, United States, Hong Kong, and Singapore. I've been fortunate enough to have exposure to lots of industries. I've worked in various roles and functions, and I'm currently working in an investment fund in Singapore. But here's my backstory. For those of you who don't know, my name is Bilal, and 5 years ago, I was just like you. So I was an auditor at PwC South Africa, and I was struggling. So just a quick background, I'm from Pietermaritzburg, a small city in South Africa. That's where I did my undergraduate degree. I am a chartered accountant, but it was a struggle for me. As you can see, my transcript on screen, I failed a lot. I failed my honors the first time, and the second time, I barely made it. I then failed my board exam or my qualifying CA exams 3 times before passing. And I was also a really bad auditor. To give you some perspective, I was the only trainee accountant within my peer group not to be promoted after the first year. So overall, I sucked. I was not good technically. And even worse, I was extremely shy and introverted that I couldn't interact well with my seniors, my managers, and my partners. So at the end of my traineeship, which in South Africa, we do 3 years of accounting training or audit, and then we qualify as a chartered accountant. So at the end of my 3 years, my colleagues were going on these overseas secondments, New York, London, Switzerland, etc. And it looked like they were having a great time, and I wanted to go as well. However, at the time, I was going through a really tough time in my life. I was struggling at work. My relationship had just ended. And if I think back on it now, I was very insecure, and I was relying on things like becoming a CA, working for PwC, working overseas, these things to feel good about myself. But anyway, let's not digress. So I told my partners that I want to go on this overseas secondment, but they said preference is given to high-rated performers. And I was not a high-rated performer, I was average. So I was never given the opportunity. So then I thought to myself, okay, well, I'm a CA, I work for PwC. It shouldn't be too hard to get a job overseas. I wanted to work in Dubai, and I knew lots of South African CAs working in Dubai, so I thought it shouldn't be too hard. So I started applying online. I started talking to recruitment agents in Dubai. I spent a few months doing this, and nothing, absolutely nothing, not even a single interview. So I was disappointed, but I knew there had to be another way because I saw so many South Africans, CAs, and even South Africans with just normal bachelor's degrees, not even chartered accountants, who didn't have experience like I did, but who had good jobs in Dubai. So I knew there had to be a way. So one day I came across an article online about finding a job by networking on LinkedIn. And I was very excited. So I read this article, it made sense, and I started immediately applying what I read. So this article said, yes, you need to connect with people on LinkedIn, and you need to find a job through networking on LinkedIn. So I started connecting with people in Dubai. I started messaging them on LinkedIn. And guess what happens? After 2 days, I got called for a telephonic interview. It was with KPMG. Now, I was amazed. This thing worked. I didn't pass the interview, but I started spending more and more time connecting and messaging people on LinkedIn. But then I never heard anything back. I would message hundreds of people and no one was replying to me. I was very disappointed. I knew this method worked, but I was doing something wrong. So then I started adjusting my approach. I spent a year figuring out what worked, what didn't. I would spend months reading books on psychology, networking, and I would start applying whatever I'm reading. I read books on sales, marketing, business development, communication, books on small talk. I can recommend some of the books to you later. There was a really good book called The Big Art of Small Talk. And all of these things that I started reading, I started absorbing and applying. And after applying everything that I learned, the end result is that I was able to get multiple job offers. I got job offers in Dubai, London, Hong Kong, and Singapore. And in the end, I chose to move to Hong Kong. While I did use my audit experience to move to Hong Kong, so I spent about 8 months in audit at PwC Hong Kong, and then I used the same strategies to transfer to the M&A or deal advisory team at PwC Hong Kong. Now, that's a very difficult move to make. Typically, only the 1-rated or the highest performers in audit are able to transfer to the deal advisory team, and I made the move as a 3-rated. That's a really good story, which I will come back to later. After spending about 4 years in Hong Kong, I decided to move to Singapore. Again, moving to Singapore is really difficult because Singapore protects the local job market, but I was able to get multiple offers and then move on to Singapore. And then recently I moved into a Singapore investment office where I'm doing venture capital investments. And one more thing, I met my wife in Hong Kong, and today we are now settled in Singapore. Now, I just want to say that, yes, I'm sharing all of my entire journey, my achievements, but I don't need all of this to feel successful, because the real transformation for me ultimately was becoming more confident in myself and the self-belief that I can do anything that I put my mind to. And that's what I'm hoping to share with you, because in this training, I'm hoping to give you some of the same tools that have helped me in my journey. And I think it's all about becoming more resourceful and the ability to get done what needs to get done. Just want to share with you some of the career highlights or achievements here. So when I left South Africa and moved to Hong Kong, I was the highest paid senior associate at PwC Hong Kong. And as I show you, I negotiated an offer of about $70,000 per year with a bunch of allowances. And that's because I had multiple offers. So I had an offer from PwC London here, and then PwC Hong Kong. And I was happy to go either way. So I was then able to leverage the fact that I had multiple offers to negotiate harder. And that's something that I want to stress, is that having multiple offers gives you leverage, and you feel more confident negotiating when you have leverage. So this was the PwC London offer. Now, one thing to note is that when I got these offers from PwC Hong Kong and PwC London, at the time, I was not employed with PwC. I was unemployed. And these offers came through my own personal networking, not through any partner's help. Here's an offer from EY in London. So this was in the financial advisory team. I ended up passing the interviews, but I didn't accept the offer because I moved into PwC M&A team in Hong Kong. This is when I was considering Dubai, I got the offer from Deloitte valuation team in Dubai. And if you read below, Vivian has updated me on your decision. This is an email from a partner, which to be honest is very disappointing as we were very positive on how well you would excel in the role and take the clear opportunity with both hands, which we have at middle management level. So this was after I interviewed with Deloitte in Dubai, the valuation team, valuation and modeling team for a manager role. And the partner called me and asked me if it's the money, they can make me a higher offer. I said, no, it's not the money. And it was because I chose to move to Singapore. But again, I had leverage, so I was able to negotiate hard. Same, Singapore, EY, offer for a manager position in the transaction services team. I didn't accept the offer, but I got the offer, gave me leverage. I actually used this EY offer to negotiate a higher salary with PwC valuation team. And I obviously moved with PwC valuation team in the end. Here's some emails from recruiters in Singapore telling me that they don't want to work with me because I'm not a Singaporean or a Singapore permanent resident, telling me that the government favors local candidates and it's very difficult for foreigners. Don't listen to them. I got 2 offers in Singapore. Now, not only has this worked for me, but here's proof that whatever I teach, it works for others. I shared my system with my cousin Mohammed, and like me, he also grew up in Pietermaritzburg and attended the local university. Now, at the time I started advising Mohammed, he was working in Durban, in South Africa. Now, Durban is a second-tier city, and he was working for PKF, a mid-tier accounting firm. And when he called me after he finished his 3 years articles, he wanted to just get Big Four experience. And I told him, Mohammed, you don't need to get more audit experience. You should get advisory experience. I was encouraging him to join one of the Big Four transaction services team. And I taught him all the strategies that I have used. And he went and he took those strategies and he managed to land a role as an investment banker at Standard Bank, the largest investment bank in South Africa. Now, moving from auditing to banking is very difficult, especially if you're coming from a mid-tier firm, from a small city. I thought it would be impossible, for someone to do this move, but Mohammed has demonstrated that the system is stronger than I imagined. This is very inspiring. Okay, so this is what we're going to cover today, and there's a ton of value packed in here. Lesson number 1, the hidden job market. Find jobs that other people don't even know exist. Lesson number 2, the referral method. How to access the job market. And lesson number 3, LinkedIn personal branding. Connect with more people online and get companies to approach you. So let's get cracking with lesson number 1. So we can use the iceberg principle to illustrate this. Most of the iceberg is hidden beneath the ocean and only the tip is visible. And now this applies to the job market. Jobs advertised represent only the tip of the iceberg, while the large majority of jobs can be found beneath the surface. This is the hidden job market. However, the large majority of job seekers compete for advertised jobs, which are posted on online websites, LinkedIn jobs, or via recruitment agents. And there's just too much competition here. Now, I would rather focus my attention on the hidden job market because here lies the real gold. But how do you access the hidden job market? I'm going to give you 3 stories to illustrate this point. One will be my personal story, my recent story, my friend Salman's story, and my brother Faisal's story. So for those of you who don't know, so I recently moved into a investment office. You call it a family office where you manage the wealth of a high net worth family. So Singapore has a budding startup ecosystem. And I always thought that it would be cool to work for a startup or for a venture capital firm. So I applied online, I spoke to a few recruiters, but I got nothing. They found my profile interesting, but I didn't get any interview through these channels. Now, I have a deep interest for startups and tech, so I attend quite a bit of these startup festivals and fintech events. And as you can see, there's a picture of me at the Singapore Fintech Festival. So at one particular event, there was a pitch competition, like a Shark Tank, where you have startups pitch their business ideas to a panel of judges, and the winning team gets some funding. And during this competition, I was part of the audience, and I was sitting next to this elderly lady. So we started chatting about which teams we felt were the strongest and which team would win. And after the competition had ended, we exchanged business cards. And as soon as I got home, I added her on LinkedIn. That's a habit I have. Whenever I meet people, I add them on LinkedIn. A few days later, I shared an article about a startup called Monzo Bank. Monzo is the fastest growing digital bank in Europe and UK. It's from the UK. And I've been following this bank. I like their content marketing strategy. And so I shared this article and I wrote a few sentences about my takeaway and my opinion on the bank. And this lady sees my article and she private messages me and she says that she has invested in Monzo Bank. And I was really amazed. So I said to her, hey, I would like to meet you. I would like to learn more about the challenger bank space, or that it's a digital challenger bank, same as digital banking. So we met for coffee, and guess what? She asks me after some time. We met for coffee. I told her about my interest in the space, my interest in startups and tech, and a few weeks later, she actually invited me to come and work in her family office to manage her family wealth, because she started a venture investment arm to invest in tech and invest with VCs and in the startup space. So she created the role for me. This team was non-existent. Yes, you may have had the idea in mind, but this is the hidden job market. This is the power of the hidden job market. Okay, let me give you another story. So this one is about Salman, one of my good friends in Hong Kong, and we met at PwC. And then he left to work in a startup called Think Labs. And then after a few years, Think Labs went bankrupt and Salman was out of a job. He struggled for months to find a job in Hong Kong. For those of you who don't know, getting a job in Hong Kong is difficult these days if you don't speak Chinese, the language. So one day Salman calls me to catch up and we were chatting and he complains about the job market in Hong Kong. He says that all the roles on LinkedIn require Chinese speakers and he was very frustrated. But I told him that, hey, I read an article a few days ago about a Hong Kong startup called Lalamove that had just secured massive funding for Asia growth. So I told Salman, hey, look into this company. You have startup experience. They have just raised $300 million and they want to grow in Asia. You should look into this company. You should apply. You should get in touch with them. So Salman takes my advice and he gets in touch with someone in Lalamove, and the rest is history. Today, he is the expansion manager traveling around Asia, looking at new markets that Lalamove can expand into. And he's actually going to be in Malaysia on the 1st of Feb, and I'm going to meet him because it's very close to Singapore. So the point is that he got the job even before, I'm quite certain he got this job even before it was advertised on LinkedIn. So he beat the competition, and that is the power of the hidden job market. And the last example is my brother Faisal. Now, he worked in our small family business in Pietermaritzburg for most of his career. He's an accountant. He has 3 years of experience, but he's not a chartered accountant. And he's always wanted to work abroad. I mean, he got bored in Pietermaritzburg in the family business. He wanted to work in Dubai. And Dubai is an extremely competitive space, and it's very difficult to find a job, especially when you're coming from a family business with, from a small city. In any case, I advise Faisal to look not only at Dubai, but look at the Middle East region, because at least if he gets work experience in the Middle East, later it will be easier for him to move into Dubai. So he accepted my strategy, and then we started looking at companies in the region. We looked at listed companies because we're able to see their financials. We found a listed company that's headquartered in Ras Al Khaimah, one of the Emirates in the UAE. This company had really strong financials. They had strong growth, historical growth. Analysts forecasted strong revenue growth going forward. They had strong margins. We knew this company would have good financial health, and they would be hiring. So then Faisal went and networked on LinkedIn, and through a connection of a connection, he manages to get referred to one of the directors in Rack Ceramics, and he lands a role as a business analyst. So you've seen the power of the hidden job market. Now you want to know how to access the hidden job market. One thing I want to share, I was on Facebook last week and I saw this disturbing video. So an immigrant couple recently moved to the US, were looking for a nanny to babysit their 2-year-old son. Now, since they were new to the US and they didn't know anybody, they found their nanny, they hired her off Craigslist, which is an online platform. And after a while, they noticed their son, 2-year-old son, was acting differently. He stopped laughing and became very fearful. Now, since both parents were working, they decided to install a camera in the home, like a monitor, like a camera to monitor the nanny. And what they found was shocking. In this video, which is very disturbing, the nanny was beating the baby, throwing the baby on the floor, kicking him. It was mental. I wouldn't recommend anyone to see it. But then I started thinking, that's the risk you take when you hire a stranger online. So, I mean, personally, I decided if I'm going to hire a domestic helper or a nanny, I will hire based off a referral. I would rather trust someone a friend recommends and vouches for than a total stranger. And I started to think about companies, how companies hire, and I believe company executives are the same. They would rather prefer to hire through referrals or through recommendations rather than picking people off the internet. And before we move on, this is something that happened 2 weeks ago. So I am thinking of moving to Australia. My wife and I want to start a family, and we believe Australia is a good place to settle. And why Australia? Because it's easy for accountants or accounting qualification and auditors, our experience to get a permanent residency in Australia. So we are considering moving to Australia. And instead of looking at Sydney and Melbourne, I'm thinking of smaller cities to get a bit of a laid-back lifestyle. So I applied to KPMG Darwin. Now, if you read the WhatsApp message on the left, you can see using the referral method, I got referred to a partner. And then if you look in the middle, the partner's PA emails me to arrange the interview. This was on the 15th of Jan. So the interview has been arranged and confirmed. But at the same time, I had also applied for the same role online, because although I'm getting a referral, I still would put through an online application. And you can see the online application on the right, the application outcome, I was rejected. Now, this was, I think, either a system automated email or perhaps HR or the talent acquisition team reply. So what this means is that, but I've already had the interview is done. What this means is that the business, the partners and the managers and the directors that are actually bringing in revenue for the firm are not communicating with HR, or HR is not passing our CVs onto the partners. So those clearly, it's so evident here in this slide that my CV was sent online. It never made it to the partner. I had to go using the referral method and get my CV in the hands of a partner. That's how I got my interview. So for those of you who are doing online applications, you are wasting your time. It's clear, it's clearly evident here that your CV gets stuck in HR and never gets to anybody. And they rejected me, even though I had a really strong CV, and the partner was very thrilled with my CV. So that's just something that I find very confusing about these businesses. So why are referrals so important? Recruiters only present candidates who possess the exact required experience for the job. Now, in the case of that Australia, this slide here, I think perhaps maybe because they are trying to cut back on foreign hires, HR blocked my CV. So if I didn't go through my own channel, I would never have got the interview. That's the point. So recruiters and HR, they only present the candidates who are relevant for the job. And if you're trying to change your job role or your industry, so if you want to break out of accounting and audit, no recruiter or HR or hiring manager is going to help you. Also, recruiters are very busy with the local market. They will not help foreigners. And I just want to share my story. So I spent almost 5 years as an auditor. And when I moved to Hong Kong, I was working 16 hours a day in audit. I hated it. I knew I had to get out. I would work till 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. During the busy season. It was a nightmare. Now, I didn't bother with online applications in Hong Kong, and the recruiters that I spoke to in Hong Kong were offering me back office roles like compliance or internal audit. And I knew I didn't want this for my career. I always liked the idea of working in front office finance role, investment banking, or private equity. And I figured a good route to investment banking or private equity would be first to get into a big four transaction services team, do some financial due diligence or do some valuation, and then move into a bank or a PE. But you know, I just moved to Hong Kong. I was there for a few months, and all the odds were against me. I was in a foreign city. I'd only been there for 4 months. I had no network in Hong Kong. I didn't speak the local language. I didn't have sufficient local work experience, and neither did I have a track record at PwC Hong Kong. I had like one performance appraisal, that's it. So, and also I didn't speak Mandarin, which is a key requirement for 99% of jobs in Hong Kong. But long story short, I got cracking on LinkedIn and I started applying the referral method. And 3 months later, I landed interviews at KPMG, Deloitte, and PwC Transaction Services team. Just in 3 months, I landed 3 interviews. I got the offer from PwC and KPMG, and I accepted the offer from PwC. Now, what's interesting to note is that PwC Hong Kong has this policy where you're not allowed to, okay, first of all, doing an internal transfer generally is not easy from audit to transaction services. Usually the one rated, the people are able to move over through the internal system. I did it as a 3 rated, with not, I did it as an average auditor, number 1, and I didn't even have enough performance appraisals. And another thing to note is that PwC Hong Kong has this internal policy that no internal transfer within the first 18 months of joining the firm. I transferred after 8 months. So how was I able to do it? The TS partner wanted me, so he convinced the audit partner to make me an exception so the 18-month rule didn't apply to me. Anyway, transferring to advisory was a major stepping stone in my career. This was a game changer for me. The learning curve in transaction services is something else. I learned corporate finance, financial due diligence, valuation, financial modeling, negotiation. I reviewed share purchase agreements. I structured deals. I learned how to do report writing, client presentations. It's huge. Now, for those of you interested in getting into transaction services, you can reach out to me, as I'm working on a course on how to break into transaction services. So if you're interested in that, you can reach out to me. But in any case, after 6 months of working in transaction services, those same recruiters who rejected me were now coming to me and trying to place me. So the point is the exit opportunities from transaction services are amazing. And just one thing I want to say about transaction services is that most transaction services partners are from audit. They like to hire auditors. So this is one of the best exit opportunities. I'm not fully against the auditing profession. I find it kills, you work lots of hours and you do boring tasks and there's zero creativity in auditing. But the benefit of being in audit is that you have the opportunity to move into something like transaction services. So if somebody tells me that they want to work in auditing, I would say, yes, go ahead, but then leverage your audit experience and move into transaction services, because otherwise it's very difficult. So don't waste that opportunity that you have, for those of you who are still in audit. Now, some people tell me that, when I tell them to network on LinkedIn, to find a job on LinkedIn by talking to people, they tell me that I don't want to be spammy. I feel bad to ask someone for a job. I don't want to seem desperate. So I remembered when people tell me this, I remembered why I was failing in the beginning when I was first looking for a job in Dubai. I was spamming people and I was asking for a job. And that's what everyone is doing on LinkedIn today. They're just randomly adding people and asking them for a job. It doesn't work like that. And it was only after I had changed my approach, that's when I started getting results. Now, depending on the situation or the scenario, I have developed 3 killer methods of how I approach people on LinkedIn. And I never spam people, and I never ask them for a job outright on LinkedIn. Then people also tell me that people don't have the time to reply. Some people say they've tried it and people just don't respond to them on LinkedIn. I understand your pain. I was there. I would message hundreds of people in Dubai every day and nothing. And this was back in 2013 when LinkedIn didn't have any limits on how many people you could message. Now, all I can say is that there are plenty of good people on LinkedIn and there are lots of people that are willing to help. But first of all, you need to know who they are. And second, you need to know how to approach them. And my methods that I use, so I have 3 methods, and 2 of the 3 methods I can prove to you, or have proven to get 90% response rates when I message people on LinkedIn. And some people tell me I'm not good at meeting new people, I'm introverted and shy, I'm not outgoing, I usually don't know what to say. I felt the same way just 7, 8 years ago. I was always the most introverted guy in school, university, at PwC in South Africa. I wouldn't even engage with managers or partners at the the year-end events or any work event. I would just stick with my one buddy in the corner. We would just chat. I wouldn't go and interact with the rest of my division, my managers, my partners. I completely avoided them. But then, I picked up a ton of books on communication, small talk, and I slowly started practicing. Over time, I improved. I learned that at the beginning of this journey, you need training wheels, meaning you need to go into any conversation armed with a list of questions, scripts, and stories that you can intentionally use to make people like you. And after that, I was able to confidently walk up and talk to anyone. I am confident now because I know the questions I will ask, the stories I will tell, and the scripts that I have learned are all designed to build rapport with people. Now, once you know what to say and you know what works, you will become way more confident when you're communicating with people. So it's all about finding proven techniques. And now I'm not saying that I whenever I talk to anybody, I have things memorized, scripts and stories and questions. No, but in the beginning, that was my training wheels. When I would go to a networking event, I would know what I need to say. Well, obviously today I'm more experienced. I don't need that. I obviously can make conversation very naturally, but the training wheels are very important at the beginning. So let's move on to lesson number 3, LinkedIn personal branding. Connect with more companies online and connect with more people online and get companies to approach you. This is now my favorite strategy, and I see people applying this tactic on LinkedIn and they're getting amazing results. So I just want to share 2 real-world examples. The first one is a guy called Jan Smekel, and he is from Prague, Czech Republic. English wasn't his first language, and in 2015, he moved to China to study in a university in China. And today he works for Credit Suisse venture team in Shenzhen. But one thing about Jan is that I'm quite certain that he found his role at Credit Suisse because of his activity on LinkedIn. So he added me in 2014, just when he got to China. And I was following him, and he would be posting pictures. He would be attending. So he was passionate about startups, and he would attend these startup events, and he would share pictures, and he would write a few takeaways from the event. He would write articles. And as you can see, he has 11,000 followers on LinkedIn. And because of his activity, you can see he's been able to do many things. He founded something called the Chief Connector. He has a LinkedIn Power Profile, and I'm quite certain it's because of his activity on LinkedIn that he was able to land such a good role with a massive bank doing global tech. This is very powerful, because for those of you who don't know, finding a job in China is extremely difficult if you don't speak Mandarin. Another example is a guy by the name of John Patrick Mullen, and he also moved to China in 2015 or 2014 to study. And he added me on LinkedIn randomly, and I just started following him. And at the time, I didn't understand what he was doing, but he would always be commenting on other people's posts. He would be sharing articles. He would be writing articles. He would attend events relating to fintech and blockchain, because that's his passion. and he would share pictures, and he was always, every day I would see him doing something on LinkedIn, and didn't really understand what he was doing. But later on, I realized that what he was doing was building his personal brand. And because of that, he actually became the managing director of a blockchain startup in Switzerland, where he worked for about 2 years. And today he's doing so many things, which I believe is because of his personal brand, which he developed on LinkedIn. As you can see, he has about 37,000 followers. He's a mentor, he's a guest lecturer, he's now at FinTech Connector. He's doing a ton of things. So that's the power of building your personal brand or your online presence on LinkedIn. It opens opportunities. In my case, I would like to be more active. I'm trying, but just by sharing one article and writing 2 sentences, I got a really good job in Singapore. I don't think I would have gotten that invite for coffee, or I don't think I would have gotten that coffee meeting if it wasn't because of me sharing my article on Monzo Bank. That's how powerful this stuff is. So 3 words to grow your personal brand on LinkedIn. Just do it. Remember, when you're top of feed, you are top of mind. And that's where you want to be. You want to be top of people's mind when looking for a job. So let me ask you a question. If you followed what I showed you in lesson number 1, and you look in the hidden job market and you found a company, and then you enhanced your personal brand on LinkedIn, and lastly, you use the referral method to get in touch with the company, do you guys think you could be successful? Let me see if you guys are still awake and still on the call. Yes, Ade, thank you, Adekunle, for replying. Yes, of course you can, guys. I know lots of auditors actually who I from PwC South Africa who have followed the exact same process. I know people who have moved abroad, London, New York, and then they moved into a bank or a tech company. And today, I know some who are earning up to $200,000 per year. So I see we have some comments. Yes, Adekunle, yes, with the right connection, you can. Chirag, yes. Tebuho, yes, I agree. I also got my current job through the referral method. Okay, 100%. I'm glad you guys can now see it and you agree. So as I was saying, following this, I know people have gone through the same process and have in major countries around the world, who are earning up to $200,000 per year base salary. So all I'm saying is that if you follow this proven process, this is guaranteed to work and you will have success. So to recap, we covered the hidden job market, the referral method, and LinkedIn personal branding. Talked about my brother Faisal, how he found a job in the UAE, my cousin Mohammed, going from audit to investment banking, my buddy Salman, getting a job as an expansion manager, traveling Asia now. These 2 guys, LinkedIn influencers, very inspiring. So let me ask you a question. Are you enjoying this webinar so far? On this webinar, okay, so in today's time, do you agree that everyone has a degree, a master's, an MBA, and other sorts of qualifications? Do you agree that it's hard to stand out? Did I show you the strategies on how to gain a competitive edge in the job market? Now, you may not know it. Now, Deepika is saying yes. Thank you, Deepika. I'm glad that you are all in agreement with me. Now, you may not know it, or you may not see it right now, but in fact, what I have taught you actually is business development. I taught you business development, and this is a critical skill to become an executive. I think Adekunle is saying this is true as everyone goes for additional qualification to have an edge. Chirag Gadia, I completely agree. Yes, guys, I made the same mistake. I have been chasing qualifications, which I realize now I did not need. Yes, I gained a lot of valuable knowledge, which I could have read from a textbook, but I didn't need to go and break my head with studying to become a CFA charter holder. I didn't need it. Yes, becoming a CA was important for me personally, but when I look at countries in Hong Kong, when I look at Hong Kong, Singapore, even the UK, becoming a CA is not a requirement. In Africa, in particular South Africa, India, becoming a CA, if you're not a CA, you are nothing. But that's not the case in Hong Kong, in Singapore, in the US. Talk to people in those countries and they will tell you, you will see directors in the Big Four who are not CA. In South Africa, India, and I think some other countries in Africa, they take the qualification too seriously. That's just something I want to share with you. I see Tebogo was saying EQ becomes more valuable over IQ when everyone in the room has the same qualifications. Wow. Okay, I didn't hear this one before, but yes, it makes a lot of sense. If you look at some of the best companies in the world, Amazon, Facebook, Google, the founders and the managers don't have a million qualifications. No, they have high EQ and they are leaders. So let's get going. So guys, did I keep my promise? Was our time together valuable for you? Do you feel more comfortable now with your ability to find a job with LinkedIn? And are you excited about what we just talked about? Are you excited about implementing these strategies? Now I'm curious, I've been talking for a while now, and how many of you are feeling like this? A bit overwhelmed, too much information? People always tell me this is how they feel after I give this presentation, and that's okay. My goal here is only to help you open your eyes to see what's possible with this new opportunity on LinkedIn and how it can dramatically transform your life from this point forward if you take action on it. But for some of you guys, I want to make sure you don't get lost. I want to make sure you have success during this path and process. And there's only so much I can cover in this 1 hour. There's this, what I'm sharing with you now. I see Adekunle saying, I believe the information is adequate. Adekunle, what I'm sharing with you, or what I've shared with you over the past hour, is only a drop in the ocean as to what else I could share with you. But unfortunately, I don't have enough time to do everything now. And so what I did was I put together a really cool offer for those of you who want to take things to the next level and shortcut your success. So who wants to take things to the next level? I can hold you by the hand like a mentor. So can I go over a quick offer, which I put together for you, really quick, like 10 minutes. So I would like to introduce you to the 8-figure executive by using LinkedIn Mastery, by becoming a master at LinkedIn. Now, this is a 5-week live online workshop with me, and this entails basically going into detail and giving you all the tactics and strategies and showing you all my advanced tactics on LinkedIn. So what we've covered today, I'll basically take you step by step throughout the entire process. Now, this is a course that you cannot find anywhere else. It's very specific and tailored. So what is it all about? It's a 5-week live online workshop teaching you step by step how to land multiple interviews and find your dream job abroad, be it locally. So find your dream job, be it locally or abroad, the effective way. We will have 1 session a week, and each session is about 1 to 1.5 hours long. I try to keep the groups small. We have about 5 or 6 people on a group. It's interactive, so there's a lot of Q&A. And I have a set agenda for each session, and I make sure I cover all the content in every session. So that's 5 weeks, each week, 1 session, 1 to 1.5 hours. And with this, you will be able to monetize your academic and professional background. So for those of you who have lots of qualifications, it's about monetizing your qualifications and getting the highest salary possible. Don't sell yourself short. And you will be able to become a connector, become an executive, so you can rise to the top in your organization and industry. So let me go into each session to give you a bit more flavor about this course. Session number 1, I call it Earthquake-Proof Foundation. Why? Because we build your mindset and I give you a strategy. So 7 steps to bulletproof confidence. Why is confidence so important? Because a lot of my students are suffering with insecurity and they don't have the right mindset. So I give you my secret strategy on how to develop a ninja mindset. This is important because when you are going out and networking, you need to convey yourself as a person of value. This is key. And then I teach you how to repackage your skills, especially if you want to change your role or industry. I expose more of the hidden job market to you. There are so many ways to find hidden jobs. I show you 5 more areas. And then I give you the 3 key pillars to a focused job search strategy. If you don't do this, you will delay your success. I know many people are looking at so many different jobs. They don't know, they're not able to focus, and then they don't make any progress. So this is more about mindset and strategy. And then session 2, we go into what I like to call infinite connections and relationships. So here I teach you my 3 killer methods when approaching people on LinkedIn. As I mentioned, methods 2 and 3 are proven to get a 90% response rate from people on LinkedIn. I teach you step by step the 5 stages from connecting with someone on LinkedIn all the way to asking for a job referral. And this is my secret weapon. Then I teach you how to craft messages that open doors, and I teach you the messaging at every stage of the interaction. 3 steps to building solid relationships, and what to say and do when building relationships and what not to say and do. Session 3, my LinkedIn influencer blueprint. So I attended a personal branding course in Singapore with one of the LinkedIn influencers. He has about a few million followers. And this is the blueprint that I've been using and I'm going to share with you. So how to craft your headline or your elevator pitch, how to build a powerful personal brand that captivates your connections, how to create an awesome professional LinkedIn profile, how to optimize that profile so you show up at the top of the search results and you rank for your chosen keywords. One thing to note is that so LinkedIn have the Asia headquarters here in Singapore, and I met a few guys from LinkedIn, and LinkedIn is becoming, in the next 5 years, CVs and resumes will be non-existent. Companies would be able to go onto LinkedIn and screening would be non-existent because your educational certificates and your work experience on LinkedIn would already be verified. So LinkedIn will be your CV in the next 5 years. LinkedIn are building a blockchain to support this function where your education and your work experience will already be verified on the blockchain. So it's going to be way more powerful than it is right now. And so recruiters, and so anyone searching for you would be searching LinkedIn. The search, they are trying to build their search on LinkedIn similar to Google search. So when people search certain skills or certain positions, you would want to rank for those keywords and skills. This is a very, very technical. It's still very new. It's just something that I would teach on this module. And then I also teach you how to become a LinkedIn influencer, how to stand out from the crowd, how to increase your connection and followers. I teach you content creation hacking, things like ideas on what to post, what to write, how to create viral content, how to use other people's content to stay top of mind. As I said, top of feed equals top of mind. I also give you tips on how to get more engagement for your posts. So ideally, I teach you how to hack the LinkedIn algorithm, because the more engagement you get for your post, the more reach LinkedIn will give your post, and that's what you want. You want more people to see you on LinkedIn. Then we move into session 4, which is advanced resume writing. So I teach you how to write the perfect resume, and then I do something called ultimate interview preparation. Basically, I teach you, there's one thing that I want to share on the slide is I teach you the best response to the tell me about yourself question. And after you give this response, you will have already won over the interviewer. This is interesting because there's a guy from Kenya, which I'm coaching right now, and he always struggled in interviews. And I taught him this technique, how to respond to the tell me about yourself question, because the first thing an interviewer will ask you when you sit down for an interview is, tell me about yourself. And using this technique that I gave him, he won the heart of the interviewer. And he told me he could see that he was so much more confident throughout the rest of his interview, because he could see that he had won the interviewer emotionally because of his response to that question. Well, I've done hundreds of interviews. I can share with you everything on how to easily pass interviews. Then we go into, I added this session in recently because I found a lot of my students don't know how to negotiate. So I help you position yourself in a negotiation from beginning to end. So what to do at each step, because the negotiation starts the moment you walk in for that interview. I prepare you psychologically so you feel more comfortable and confident in a negotiation. I notice most of my students are so desperate they don't want to negotiate at the risk of losing the job offer. That's a big mistake. You will lose at least 20% upside on your salary if you don't negotiate. I teach you how to avoid the 3 negotiation mistakes. Everyone makes these mistakes and ends up with lower salary. How to counter offer effectively. Remember, companies are businesses. They are happy to negotiate. Don't be afraid. How to consider the full package, including benefits and allowances. I had another student from South Africa who was moving to, moving to Malaysia. And I told him that you can negotiate into your package your housing allowance, your child's school allowances. And after doing this, he listened to me and he managed to get like 30-40% more on his package because he negotiated these things in. Can't forget these things. And then lastly, which I've added in just recently, is the supreme executive presence. So yes, why I added this in is because I find people, they're unhappy in their job. They move to a new company, and then a few months later or 6 months later, they're unhappy again and they move again. And if you see, this is very common. People are constantly moving within 1 year, within 2 years, they're changing jobs. So is it the job that's the problem, or is it the candidate that's the problem? And what I found is And this is something, so I went through a coaching a few years ago from a South African coach, Clive Kaplan. And I went through his executive presence course, and I share with you everything I learned. It really helped me. So basically, I teach you personal corporate branding. How others see you in your organization. So how do you walk into a meeting? How to sit in a meeting? Do you carry a book and a pen, or is your phone on the desk or in your pocket? It's simple and small little things you can do which communicate a lot of things to people around you. So it's all about personal corporate branding. It's all about your impression, status, competency. And there are 3 important relationships in the workplace that I define, and that that you need to be aware of. And you can't be treating everyone the same. You need to treat different people differently. And how to deal with your bosses. I mean, I've had nice bosses and I've had narcissistic bosses. How do you manage upwards? How do you treat people? How do you work with your bosses? And then the supreme executive mindset. I know a lot of us go through school and university we want to please our teachers, and then we come to the workplace and we want to please our bosses. An executive is not there to seek approval and please people. An executive is there to focus on value add. So I teach you how to move away from the seeking approval mindset to a value add mindset. As an executive, you are there to add value to the organization and grow the business. You are not there to please people. That does not make money. And lastly, high performance lifestyle, how to optimize your body and mind for peak performance. This I think is very key. This really helped me. So just to recap, we have 5 sessions: the foundation, mindset, strategy, infinite connections and relationships, which is more the networking and relationship building, LinkedIn influencer blueprint, which is more personal branding and marketing, advanced resume writing, interview prep, $1 million negotiation, and supreme executive mindset. So yes, I've helped so many other people. Here are a few testimonials. Janissa was a UK university fresh graduate. One was looking for Big 4 opportunities. Using my techniques and my coaching, she got into PwC Hong Kong. She sent me this nice message. She actually thought that she needed to do a master's. In the end, she realized that you don't need to do a master's to find a job. But a lot of students today think they need to do masters. It's the whole thing where we think we need more qualifications. We don't need more qualifications. What we need is more practical experience. Here's another friend of mine in Hong Kong whom I've helped to move into the largest investment bank in Hong Kong. Here's a guy from Nigeria whom I'm coaching, and he just sent me this message over the new year. So he's still a student, and he says he went on to apply the lessons mainly on his health, so those high performance habits for ultimate peak mind and body performance. So he's applied that, and he's actually a PhD student, so he's really enjoying that. Here's a guy that I'm helping. He was struggling to break out of accounting and audit. His name is Pradeep. So it was a struggle for him, and then he says he was glad he met me and went through my training. He was able to get into a boutique valuation firm, which has been a tremendous learning curve for him. So he actually moved to Singapore recently. This is another guy from Hong Kong, Korean guy. Bilal encouraged me to join the valuation team. He reviewed my CV and helped me prepare for the interviews, which are very technical. I doubt I would have gotten through without his help. Yes, I told you about my cousin Mohammed.
My name is Mohammed and I work at Standard Bank, one of the largest banks in South Africa. Before moving into banking, I worked at PKF as an audit senior. Now, I had always wanted to move out of audit, and that's exactly when I got in contact with Bill. I had always enjoyed reading articles on the latest transactions in the market, global economic trends, and always wondered whether it would be possible for me to break into the investment banking scene. Bill encouraged me and told me that it is possible, but only through networking. He then did a detailed review of my resume and gave me a step by step guide on how to go about networking. After that, I went on a networking spree. I landed myself several interviews at banks, at the Big Four advisory teams, and other large corporates in South Africa. Bull then prepared me for the interviews for both technical as well as competency based questions. And that's my story of how I ended up in banking.
So you're probably wondering, what is your investment to get started on this right away? So just to recap, we have the 5 sessions. We go from, it's very structured from mindset and strategy all the way down to the supreme executive presence. So I call this my complete platinum 5-session online workshop, which is part of the 8-figure executive course. And I value this at $1,500. Again, this is my personal time. It's a live workshop with me online. So that's how I value it. But what else do you need? So I've included this bonus because people tell me they don't know what to say and they don't know what to say in their messages. And yes, I had this problem too. This was my biggest roadblock, not knowing what to say to people on LinkedIn. I spent about 7 or 8 years testing and developing these message templates. And I'm confident that these messages are proven to work and get results. With these templates, you will be able to get rid of that fear that you don't know what to say, and you will be able to start networking immediately. Just copy and paste these templates into your LinkedIn messages and start networking. This is about a 12-page ebook that gives you the message scripts to use at various stages of the process. So this is a must-have, and also different approaches when approaching people on LinkedIn. And so I have different approaches when I'm approaching people in different countries. So for example, let's say you want to connect, let's say you want a job in, say, Kazakhstan, foreign country where you know nobody. How would you approach it? And you don't want to spam people. I give you the methods, and then I give you these templates for connecting with people anywhere in your own country, in different industries, or in foreign countries. These methods, and so it's not only that it's a method plus the template together is proven to get you the results that you want. Okay, so my personal templates, swipe files, message scripts, I value this. This is all developed by me over 7-8 years, looking at my own conversations, and I've boiled it down into this 12-page ebook, which I value at $497. And as you can see, guys, that's about $2,000 of value right there. And then people say to me, what do I say and do when I meet my connections? So what I've done here is I have also given you a very beautiful, detailed meeting guide, which I put together. So when you do meet people and when you do go out to networking events or any meeting that you have or any phone call with your connections, you can use this as a guide, as a checklist. And you will know what to do before your meeting or call, what to do during your meeting and call, and what to do after. And I will also give you all the questions that you need to ask at a minimum to build a rapport and a relationship with the people that you are communicating. Remember I told you the training wheels which I used, the scripts, the stories, and the questions? These are the same scripts and the same questions which I give you, so you can just fire them and you know that these are proven to build rapport and build a relationship. So it'll help you to be able to confidently walk into any meeting or call and easily charm the other person. Remember, getting the person to like you is very key. Building a relationship with the person is important. And this is the checklist and the guide that can help you to do just that. It will help you to get rid of any fear that you may think you're doing something wrong or asking the wrong question. And again, I had to meet and call hundreds of people to get this right. I know this stuff works. With this guide, I now can confidently walk into meetings and become friends with my connections. So I definitely believe you can use this as well. So this guide and list of questions I valued at $497. So that's about $2,500 worth of value right there. And I've also decided to add a Trello networking scheduling system because a lot of people get stuck, feel overwhelmed, and don't know where to start. So I give them this daily to-do list on a Trello board. It's a project management tool where it gives them a daily step-by-step system so you can't fail. And this is about $300 worth of value. And lastly, I do a resume review, one resume, which I value at $197. So all in all, you can see a total value right there of about $3,000. Now, if all this program did was for you, a salary improvement of 50%. So if you're currently making $4,000 per month, you could be making $6,000. Would that be worth the $3,000 investment to you? Or if all it did was help you find just one job, which could be your dream job or a dream job abroad to the envy of your friends or family, would that be worth $3,000 to you? Or for those of you who are struggling in audit or back office accounting, if it helped you break out and get a 40% salary increment, how much would that be worth to you? So lastly, sharing what you learn on this course to empower your friends and family like I have, what would that be worth to you? So the value you see right there is not a problem anymore and nothing compared to what you could get out of my program. Why? Because you see it as an investment in yourself, in your career, and not as a cost anymore. $3,000 is nothing once you put it into that perspective. Now I had two choices. The first option was I could go as cheap as possible, try and sell as many as possible, but it wouldn't incentivize me to bring as much value. I could record this as video lessons and just sell it off cheaply. But I decided to go for the second option, which requires a higher investment on your side, but in exchange, I can devote more resources and I can give you my personal time to guarantee your success. So what is one job abroad worth to you? Or what is your dream job worth to you, or your dream job abroad, and how much would you pay to get that? It took me years and unquantifiable amounts of time and money to find my job in Hong Kong. And this was paying me $70,000 a year. This was 5 years ago. So you can see why $3,000 is a good deal and an investment. But I wanted to make it affordable and accessible because even in Singapore and Australia, which I do work in, $3,000 is a lot of money in these developed markets. So, because we have people on from Africa, from India, where I understand the currency is under pressure, I have decided to give you access to all the stuff for just $97 today, just one payment of $97, and you get immediate access to the messaging templates, the meeting guide, the Trello board, and we set up the first session for this coming week. For those of you who sign up, our first session will be on the 1st of Feb, around the same time, and you can get started on this journey immediately. We will do a session a week for the next 5 weeks. If you can't make the session, I could try to fit you in on another live session because I do multiple groups, or alternatively, I record each session and I can share the recording with you and I can do any Q&A on the side. So this is essentially how it's done. Each session is about an hour to an hour and a half. And this is a really good offer that I'm making at the moment because, as I said, I usually charge about $1,000 in developed markets. And again, it's my one-to-one time that you're getting, which my time is limited because I do have a full-time job. And I try to keep the group small, so I do have limited spots. So it's first come, first serve. Now you have two options. The first option is you can do nothing and not take the leap of faith, which is 100% risk-free for you. The second option is you can make the small investment today compared to all the value that you will get in return. I suggest you just try it out. Take this leap of faith with me. I'm going to be there with you. I'm not going to let you fall. And lastly, before I go, I just want to add in a fast action bonus for those people who can take action faster. So for those who sign up, the first 3 signups today, I will also include a bonus, which is a mock interview with me and feedback, which I value at around $500. So this is a one-on-one mock interview, and I give you feedback. And I'm only giving it for the first 3 signups. So all in all, as you can see, you will be getting my complete Platinum 5-session online live workshop, my personal templates and message scripts, meeting guide and list of questions, Trello networking scheduling system, a resume review, and a bonus for the first 3 signups, a mock interview session with me plus feedback. Total value of all of this, I would say, is priceless, but I'm giving it away, literally giving it away for $97 for those who sign up today. So I think that brings us to the end of the presentation. I think we are slightly over time. Apologies for that, but thank you so much for staying. I see most of you are still on the line. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comment box below, and I'm happy to answer them. And yeah, apologies for running over time. I know it's supposed to be an hour long. I think I just maybe shared a bit more than I should have. But yeah, happy to answer any questions. If you guys don't have any questions right now, perhaps maybe if you have any questions later on, feel free to drop me a message on WhatsApp, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. Okay, let's see. We have a question here. Teboho is saying, thanks for the great session. You're welcome, Teboho. I'm glad you got some value from this. Thank you for your time. Thank you for carving out 1.5 hours out of your day. Today, time is the most valuable thing, and all of you have given me 1.5 hours of your time and listened to what I've had to say. I see Deepika is saying, I've seen that nowadays promotions are based on the list of degrees and qualifications. What's your view in this? Just to answer this question, Deepika, I think, yes, I think in India, the CA qualification is, and the same in South Africa. Yes, I know in South Africa, to become a manager at a Big Four, you need to have a CA qualification, and I believe it's the same in India. Yes, to an extent, it's true in these markets, but in other developed markets, if you look at Singapore, Hong Kong, UK, US, I'm not too sure about Australia, but you don't need promotions are not based on qualifications. In my experience in Hong Kong and Singapore, promotion was based on being able to exceed expectations within what your reviewer, your performance appraisal, the one who's in charge of your performance appraisal, and the managers and the people that you report to, they look at your performance. Are you meeting expectations? Are you exceeding expectations? Are you meeting KPIs? That's how in these markets promotions are done. Yes, perhaps in India, perhaps in South Africa, if you become a CA, they promote you. But I believe that's not the right way. I think anyone can go and study a textbook, memorize, go to an exam, regurgitate, and get the qualification. But actually doing well on the field, in the trenches, in the work environment, meeting those KPIs and exceeding expectations, I think that's more relevant. And that's how it's done today. Especially as you move up to senior manager, director level, they look past qualifications. Okay, I see Chirag and Adukunle saying thanks for the valuable session. The session has been enlightening. Yes, guys, thank you for your time. More importantly, giving me 1.5 hours of your time to listen to me is what I really appreciate. So just a thing about the course. If you want, I usually do payment 2 ways. I can send you a link to my order form on my website, or through PayPal, whichever one you are comfortable with. And yeah, if you have any questions on the course, feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions later on. I guess you should see it as an investment. It's $97 is 100 cups of coffee, which is not a lot. I'm trying to get a group ready for the 1st of Feb to start. So let me know before that, and we can get this thing rolling. Again, thank you so much for your time, everyone. And I wish you to have a relaxing time for the rest of your weekend. I'm going to head off now, and take care. Bye-bye.